Hi all, welcome to the first part of the video lecture on Module 2 Computer Networks. So far we covered Module 1 in detail, where we saw the concept of computer network, the basic terminologies, the major functionalities or the design issues of computer network architecture, and then we end up our discussion with the reference model, that is the ISO OSI, and the TCP/IP reference model. Now module 2 onwards we are will be moving more specific. So if you are looking at module 2, this is completely dedicated for the data link layer. Okay, so why data link layer? Because our layering concept is starting from layer 1, that is physical layer, but physical layer most of the aspects we already covered in our data communication class. So that is why we are directly moving on to data link layer. So in computer network course, so data link layer, that is layer 2. The data link layer uses a service of the layer below it, that is physical layer, to send and receive bits over the communication channel. So ultimately for the bit transmission it is to be signal encoded, and all those things were handled by the so-called physical layer, right? So for the communication to be complete, the data link layer has to take the service provided by the physical layer for the actual transmission of the information, and it has, in addition to that, it will be providing service to the layer above it, that is network layer. Now it has a number of functions, including providing a well-defined service interface to the network layer. Like what I said, it has to provide services to the layer above it. So the interface should be clear and the functionality should be implemented properly. I mean, what are all the functionality promised in the interface should be implemented nicely in the data link layer. And dealing with the transmission error, right? Transmission error is something that can happen at any point, and in not only data link layer, some higher layers are also doing this error checking, particularly that transport layer, we will see that. But differences were there. So this is something hop to hop error control, where if you are looking at the error control in the transport layer, it is end to end. So like that, if you want, you can add this error control at multiple layers also. But when it comes to the practical model, mainly we have this error control in the data link layer, which is a hop to hop error control, and in transport layer, that is end to end error control. And another one is regulating flow of data, so that slow receivers are not swamped by fast senders. So the flow control, that aspect also we already seen. So my request is like don't come to module 2 directly. So most of the background I built up in module 1. So go through all the videos in module 1. After that, if you are coming here, it will be easy for you. So I'll be taking that assumption that you already gone through all videos of module 1. So most of the terminology, if it is repeating, I will not be explaining further. So that about flow control, again this is done at the data link layer and the higher layers, particularly transport layer. And again, particularly the TCP protocol is doing that. Again, that those things we will see later. Then also access control is there, means media access control. Then but in Tannenbaum textbook these three were listed, that is why I was focusing these three mainly. And in addition to that, this physical addressing is something this data link layer, another you can list it as the fourth data link layer functionality, physical addressing, taking care of, that is a MAC address, the permanent address of every device that is hardwired in the network interface card, it's handling. Of course this media access control, but I mean in the second half of this module we will see that access control in detail, but initially we will see these three functionalities mainly. So to accomplish these goals, the data link layer takes the packets it gets from the network layer and encapsulates them into units called frames for transmission. So from the network layer, the data link layer will be getting information in the form of packets. So packet you can use as a general terminology. Also particularly for network layer protocol data unit, you can use the term packet. So anyway, this packet will be divided into different frames, provided the frame size is less than that of the packet size. Normally that is the case. So why we are dividing it into frames? Because frame is the protocol data unit of this layer. So the maximum size of information that this layer can handle at any time. So that depends on the type of protocol you are using to implement this data link layer. Some protocols we have Ethernet, token ring, many protocols were there. So depending on the type of protocol, this frame size, everything will vary. So this is something, the maximum at any time this layer can handle this much unit of information. And also along with this, each frame we will be adding the error control and flow control related informations, and together we are achieving all these functionalities. And now each frame contains a frame header, a payload field for holding the information, that is the packet which it is getting from the network layer, and a frame trailer. So for a particular frame, we will see that frame management forms the heart of what the data link layer does. So that is the main issue, design issue of data link layer. So how it is handling the frames. So it is something like this. From the higher layer, that is network layer, the data link layer will be getting a packet when it comes to the sender side. So, and at the receiver side, from the data link layer, the payload will be extracted and it will be given to the network layer. So see the direction of communication. Now at the sender side, what will happen, from the application layer, the message will be coming, and that message will be divided into say different segments, say in the transport layer, which is further divided into packets in the network layer, and further it is divided into frames, different frames in the data link layer. See, assuming that the size of each such unit is less than that of the higher layer. So the packet as a whole is what we call as a payload. So given a frame, so this is the complete frame. So whether it is a frame or a packet, the payload is the one which contains the information that it is obtained from the higher layer. So here for this frame, the payload field will be holding the packet, the part of the packet as a whole, and for every frame we will be attaching a header and a trailer. And this header is something, this trailer is there with the data link layer, but if you are looking at the higher layers, network layer and all, we are not adding trailer, but this header will be there. So network layer will be having its own network layer header. So that will be part of this packet. And similarly, the transport layer is having its own header, segment header. Application layer, if you are using HTTP protocol, it is having its own header, HTTP header. So like that. So header is something, some additional information. It's a kind of overhead. So the actual information is inside this payload field. This header is something that is helping the other functionalities like error control. To as part of error control, you may be using that cyclic redundancy check. So once you divide your original information with the CRC polynomial, you will be getting a reminder, right? And that reminder you have to communicate to the receiver, and with the help of this reminder, the receiver will be detecting the error in your message. Where you will be placing your that CRC reminder, you can put it in the header or in the trailer. So depending on the requirement, sometimes we will be adding it in the header, sometimes it may be in the trailer. So like that, the additional information. Similarly for flow control, for ordering, we need to maintain that sequence number and acknowledgement number. Like that, many things were there, and those things we will be adding in the header and the trailer part when it comes to data link layer. And similar information will be there in higher layers also, and that we normally append as the header in the higher layers. So that header concept is there with every layering. Similarly, at the receiver side, this frame as a whole will be reaching, and by looking at the header, it can ensure the information is error free by doing that error detection and all. And this flow control, access control related things will be there in the header, and those cross checking, everything will be done. And once the information is found to be okay, that will be handed over to the higher layer. So when it comes to that higher layer, only the payload field will be given. Simply that header and trailer will be removed at the receiver side, and it is added at the sender side. So it is just a purely, it's a overhead, we can say that is something, it's not part of the actual communication, but we need it for the other support kind of things. And also the destination address, how you will be locating it. So all those things will be available as part of this header. When it comes to data link layer, the MAC address of the destination, the media access control, the Ethernet or the permanent 48-bit number, that kind of things will be there as part of the header. And also for synchronization, some start of frame delimiter, end of frame delimiter, and many such things will be there in the header and the trailer. See, Actually this trailer is something particular to this data link layer, but header is containing most of the error control, flow control kind of things, so we will see that. Then so the virtual communication, the actual communication. So when you are looking at the layered architecture, like if it is TCP IP, say 4-layer architecture, you can see that so why this many, I mean, in the sense, if this data link layer is here it is taken to be a third layer, if so, whether it is data link layer or some other, okay, it's some kind of a general diagram. For example, we have a layer 3, the actual communication, if the from the sender side, if you want to have any communication with the receiver side between this layer 3 like that, so we want that kind of communication, and virtually we feel like the communication is happening between the layer 3 of sender machine and layer 3 of receiver machine, and this virtual field what we have is the virtual data path. But you know, this is not the case when it comes to physical communication. From layer 3 the information should be handed over to layer 2, from layer 2 it will be handed over to layer 1, and every layer will be adding its own header, and some kind of processing will be done at that layer, and then through the actual I mean this is the actual communication path through the media, it will be reaching the receiver side. And at the receiver side again layer 1 will do the processing, and it will be removing its header and handed over its payload to the layer 2. Again its header will be removed and handed over its payload to layer 3 after doing the necessary processing and all. So this is something that highlights so how the actual communication is happening and what kind of virtual feel we are having. So we feel like the communication is between the layer 3, and it's a kind of how horizontal communication, but actually it is a kind of vertical communication we are having. So same thing is applicable for network layer and other layers. So service provided to the network layer. So what we seen is the data link layer is supposed to provide services to the network layer. And what kind of service it can provide to network layer? So data link layer can be designed to offer various services which vary from the protocol to protocol, and depends on the type of protocol we can have a particular set of service for the data link layer. And 3 reasonable possibilities are unacknowledged connectionless service, acknowledged connectionless service, and acknowledged connection oriented service. So first 2 categories are coming under connectionless service. That means between the sender and the receiver we are not going to establish any connection, and without any connection establishment phase, we will directly move on to the data transfer phase, where using any path and without any ordering and all, we will be sending the information. And in that case again we can think of 2 categories, that is acknowledged connectionless service and unacknowledged connection. So the first case is something the very trivial one, in the sense there is no connection establishment, simply the information is forwarded to the receiver, and once the sender don't have any idea like whether it correctly reached the receiver or not, whether there is any issue with the receiver or not, nothing is communicated back to the sender. I mean there is no feedback communication back to the sender, in the sense there is no concept of acknowledgement. So that feedback communication is what we call as an acknowledgement. So if you are adding acknowledgement to this connectionless service, it will be more reliable, right? So if something happened for the information which you send to the destination, you will be knowing it, you will be getting negative as well as positive acknowledgement, and either you will feel get a confirmation that it successfully reached there and there is no issue. Sometimes you will be getting a negative acknowledgement, like on the way the information may lost, right? And similarly at the receiver side, when that error checking is done, some error detected, so please retransmit. So accordingly you can do that retransmission, and the communication will be more reliable, right? So definitely it is coming with a cost, as some additional cost, in the sense that acknowledgement concept has to be implemented properly. So some extra effort we have to spend, but it is more reliable than the first category. So but even though the first category is something found to be unreliable, but still we are using this unacknowledged connectionless service in case of the very popular data link layer protocol, that is Ethernet. So that Ethernet we will study that in some more detail, but this is something familiar to all of you, I think. At least that name will be familiar for Ethernet. It's the very well known data link layer protocol, or the wired LAN standards, IEEE 802.3 Ethernet. And in that IEEE 802.3 Ethernet protocol, we are using unacknowledged connectionless service. And now you will be wondering why so. Because we have better things like acknowledged connectionless as well as acknowledged connection oriented service. Both are outperforming unacknowledged connectionless service, but still we are using the first category because when it comes to a wired local area network, so typically using a fiber optic cable or some other good guided media, the chances of error and the different scenarios like lost packet, some error happened to the data is received erroneously. So such issues, the probability of such issues were very less, right? So why we have to spend time on this acknowledgement, error detection, all those things? We can have error detection, but this acknowledgement and all, if you want, we can avoid. So that is the way people are thinking, because even though acknowledgement is not there, still that protocol will work nicely, maybe 99%, 99 something like that, but a very small probability is there where the data may be lost or something different happened than the normal scenario. And that time you can meet that situation in a different way, and you don't have to depend on acknowledgement and all. So that is the way people are thinking, and they are providing their service. And there are ways how we will be handling it, and that is a different thing. When we are discussing Ethernet in detail, you will get a brief understanding of it. But for the time being, this Ethernet, the well-known protocol, is actually using the unacknowledged connectionless service only, which is a cheaper solution. But it's not a reliable one. But when we look at the communication media, the type of wired LAN, particularly with optical fiber, the chances of such erroneous situations is very, very less, and we can go for this without much worrying. Yeah, that is the case. But if you are looking at wireless communication or wireless local area network like the Wi-Fi something, the chances of error is very high, right? Because we are using an unguided media and we don't have much control over the medium. So definitely the error, on the way, many things can happen to the information, and it may or may not reach the destination when it is being sent by the sender. So that is a scenario, and definitely we are forced to add this acknowledgement, otherwise the communication will be first of all, it is an unreliable communication only. Even it's the scenario is entirely different, like wired local area network and wireless local area network. Wireless, when it comes to wireless communication, this error probability is very, very high compared to this wired LAN. So anything can happen to the data, starting from the information may lost or some erroneous situation, some kind of signal addition. So many things can happen. So definitely we have to inform the sender whether the information correctly received or not, and if not, that retransition, that kind of things should be there for making your communication proper. So that is why in wireless LAN IEEE 802.11 Wi-Fi we are using this acknowledged connectionless service. Now one more third category, which is a very robust one, that is acknowledged connection oriented service, is something also we can think of, but it is somewhat I felt like it is theoretically proposed, but most of the practical protocols were running either using that technique 1 or the second category they belongs to. The two popular one we already seen, that Ethernet 802.3 is coming under first category, and 802.11 wireless LAN is coming under the second category. And acknowledgement connection oriented service still we can think of, but connection establishment and all, it's a costly solution, and we have to resource reservation, everything we have to do. And this is something we have to do between every hop also. But at the transport layer, same connection oriented service is provided by TCP, but that is something different, because we are thinking of that connection, virtual connection between end machine, but here it is between every hop, this connection establishment and data transfer, tear down, so like that it has to proceed, and that is not a it's a very reliable one. There is no issue at all. There is no ordering issue, nothing. Once the connection is established, everything will go fine, and without any issue it will reach the destination for sure. So by default it is acknowledged, right? So that is why we are not thinking like unacknowledged. So that much detail is not, we don't have to think in that direction. The third category itself is very robust one, and we are using, we are not using much in the most of the popular one, because we don't need that kind of a service. So that is a scenario. So what is the thing you have to take from this session is the service provided to the network layer. So two things, the data link layer, one of the main functionality is framing, and framing we will see in detail in our subsequent session. For the time being, dividing the information into the packets into different frames, and we will add that frame header and trailer. You got an idea. Now when you are looking at the data link layer, what kind of service it is provided to the higher layer? It can be of any of these three category, and first one be coming under Ethernet, second one is something used in wireless LAN, third one is something theoretically proposed, and it's a very robust one and costly solution also. Most of the practical protocols will be either using category 1 or 2. So with that we will bind up, and these three technique in somewhat detail we will see in the next video. Thank you.